Hello and welcome back to Live from the Hive with me, Katie Bessant. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Derry Green from the Secret Garden Glamping. Derry, hello, it's great to have you on the podcast today.
I know it is. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the Secret Garden Glamping and what inspired you to get started.
Yeah, so it's been an absolutely crazy journey over the past sort of 4.5 years. It all started in COVID. So the first lockdown, 2020, I was stuck at home with my two young children, had nothing to do, and we went camping in the garden. That's how this whole project started. So that first night, we camped in the garden in a little tent, woke up on the wet grass in the morning, which wasn't very exciting for the kids. So for the next day, I decided to build a deck to put the tent on for the next evening. And then it just kind of expanded from there. As days turned into weeks, into months, I just kept building a bit more each day. At one point, we'd moved the whole living room into the garden, so we had a sofa out there and everything. And I thought I could do a bit more. And by the end of lockdown, I'd created what I now know to be a glamping pod with a full outdoor area, hot tub, fire pit, all that sort of stuff. And that was kind of it. It was just a place for us to spend our time. And I got contacted by an organisation to do a story on what a dad had built in lockdown for his kids when everybody was building home bars and gyms and that sort of stuff. And I'd built this glamping pod, so it was just like a good news story. So there's a photo of me and my son and my daughter sat in front of this pod, and it's what I built for them in lockdown. And that kind of when that went out, it was actually a company that was owned by Lad Bible. So Lad Bible reshared it on theirs, and it went viral. And people started messaging me on my own social media saying, "Can we book it for a holiday?" Which at the time seemed crazy to me because I thought, "Why do you want to come and stay in my garden?" But I lost my previous business because of COVID. I used to do transport, European transport, um, and it was like, well, I've got nothing to lose. Why not? So I listed it on Airbnb, went to bed, woke up the next morning to about 150 bookings. Thought, wow, what do I do with this? As the next day went on, we was then fully booked for 2 years in advance, and I was blown away by the response. But I quickly realised, obviously, there was something I was doing that was engaging with people, and how could I do it more? So I spent the next 12 months applying for planning permission for a 4-acre woodland. We finally got that in the February of 2021, and that's where the Secret Garden Glamping was born.
Wow, what a story. Um, so you had an amazing response when you first launched the first sort of glamping site. So what sets the Secret Garden Glamping apart from the rest?
Well, I think there's been this shift, especially since COVID, in not only the glamping industry but the UK staycation industry. COVID kind of changed everything. What I'd created unknowingly was kind of a private oasis. So because of COVID, the traditional model of shared facilities, larger sites, things like that, people didn't want that anymore. People wanted their own seclusion. This is where the kind of Airbnb kind of homes have come from, where people want their own private space to spend time like they're at home but away somewhere else. So each unit is fully enclosed. You can't be overlooked by anybody else. They've got dedicated facilities. They've all got their own hot tubs or cinemas or bars or cooking facilities, whatever it might be. So it's your own little piece of a woodland rather than it being, you know, 10 units in a row in a field, which are all identical. Each one I do is individual. Each one has something that the other ones don't. So it's just a chance for me to be creative and act like an 11-year-old again playing in the woods. And anything I wanted to create, you can do because I've spoke about this before. It doesn't have to be perfect. People have kind of strived for this ultimate luxury. On the hotel kind of market, they're all 5, 6, 7 stars. I think it goes up to now, which is phenomenal. But we can't compete with that, so there's no point in trying. But what we can do is create things that are unique and quirky and that are one-offs. And yes, they might not be perfect, but they work really well, and you get to enjoy being outside with your family.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think the whole thing about going on holidays, it's meant to be a fun experience. So bringing some elements of creativity and having fun with your units and your holiday lets is you have that freedom, don't you? As you say, you're not necessarily, well, some of us aren't necessarily competing with those big hotels and not striving for that, so we can take the pressure off and do something a little bit different and have that freedom to explore something new, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it. When I came to this industry, I quickly realised the glamping industry was acting like accommodation. So, like any other accommodation, whether it be a hotel, a B&B, whatever it might be, I've always looked at it. We're not accommodation providers. We're experience providers that also happen to have accommodation, and there's a big difference because that's it. If you're just looking for somewhere to put your bags down to go to the cinema or to meet family and friends or whatever else. That's what accommodation's for. That's what hotels are set up to be. They're perfect for that. You can go and drop your bags off, go out for the day. You've got somewhere to put your head down at night. Now, what we're doing is trying to create an experience, and then also you can stay at that experience overnight. We've also got a bed there, so you can carry on the experience into the next day. So that's where I looked at it really differently. And again, there's no point in trying to compete with things like like the Hilton and stuff like that. They've got huge budgets. We're never going to be able to do something like that. So we can concentrate on stuff that they can't do. And that's what I'm always looking at.
Yeah, yeah. So who is your sort of primary target guest, and how do you cater to their specific needs? Because obviously they do still need stuff with accommodation.
Yeah. So it's funny. We have kind of two different groups of people. So we have our social media audience, which is very specific. That's our social media audience is women between the ages of sort of 35 and 45 who want to get away from the husbands and the kids and go and chill out with the friends for a few days and that sort of stuff. So the social media platforms are all geared up around that. Now our actual audience that comes is a huge diverse range. In the summer holidays we have families, kids, mainly younger families, so couples between the ages of sort of 25 and 35 with younger children, so children between the ages of 0 and 6, less of the kind of teenage age. But then outside of that, we have groups of women. Again, like I said, that's our kind of midweek stability. So that's three of the mums from school whose husbands go and play golf on a Sunday or watch the football on a Saturday, and they've decided, what, husbands can sort out the kids on Tuesday and Wednesday this week while we all go, and bitch about them around a hot tub and have a few drinks. So that's our kind of midweek one. And then now we have lots of larger groups, so multi-generational families. So it's not just mum and dad and kids coming away anymore. It's mum and dad, auntie and uncle, grandma and granddad. Because we've done this as a family for years. So my brother lives in Mississippi. So we go on holiday to America. So it'll be me and my partner and the kids, my mum, my brother, his wife, and we all drive down into one and we hire a villa and we all holiday together because as a family, I get to have some time to relax because my mum or my brother will be playing with the kids, and then I can be, and you all get to experience different parts of it without all the pressure being on mum and dad. That's always been the thing when you go away. And again, the reason why I design a lot of the things that I do is ultimately it's mum and dad who are paying for the vacation or the stay. If the kids have a great time and they're distracted and playing and messing around in the woods and mum and dad get to sit in the hot tub, they're obviously going to come back. If there's nothing for the kids to do and the kids are mum, 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 dad, 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 you're not going to bother again. Even if it's the best place in the world, it's that sort of thing. You still need to relax. So having those different options for different people, and that's why each unit is designed slightly different. So we have something that will be great for couples or groups or families. So it's all these different options.
Yeah, yeah. And so you've talked a lot about how successful, that first sort of visibility with the story on Lad Bible and getting all those bookings. So
Mm.
what marketing strategies have you used, and what's proved the most effective?
So social media is ultimately where it's been the biggest impact. Again, when I talk about my business specifically, we are really now a social media organization that happens to have a glamping site. Our product could be anything. It could be trainers, it could be chairs. Our product is a glamping site, but it's all based around our social media presence. And I learned that early on. How do you get and cut through the content that's out there now? Because lots of people that are coming to the industry have no option except to go to a third party OTA, Airbnb, booking.com, those sorts of things. And they're taking, a huge percentage off your business. And it's, margins can be tight. So I quickly realized that I need to work out how to get my product out in front of people without going that way. So social media was the thing that really drove me and kind of I spent a lot of time on at the start, because when I came to this, I had a Facebook account. I think that was it. And Facebook to me was to say happy birthday to somebody if I got prompted to by Facebook, or put a couple of pictures of the kids on it. That was it. I didn't really have any social media training. Um, but working it out and seeing how those platforms can really boost the kind of audience that you have, and then being able to engage with customers directly. Because again, a lot of the third party OTAs kind of try and limit all of that now. Everything has to be done through the platform. You don't have any real contact with people. You don't have phone numbers, emails, all these sorts of things. Where people want that, again, since COVID, they want that personal touch. They want to be engaged with people again. They want customer service back. They don't want to be typing things through a platform and maybe getting what looks like an automated response back. You just want to phone somebody up and say, is there a barbecue there? Yeah, no problem. There's a barbecue there. Oh, great. Looking forward to seeing you here and everything. It's dead simple, where a lot of systems now are designed to be all online, where it's got to be a bit of both.
Yeah, yeah, you're so right. Everybody wants that personal touch nowadays, and that's why I do what I do, because to try and get more direct bookings, so you have more control over that experience, that whole experience that you're giving your guests when they book, and you have way more control, and you don't have all your eggs in one basket if these OTAs did go down overnight or something. You've got way more control
Yeah,
over your customers. So yeah, what tips have you got for, you say, you're using social media and you had to figure it out along the way. So what's
yeah.
working really well for you right now?
So, I mean, Facebook and Instagram are still, our main platforms. We have a little over 1.2 million followers across our social media now. Our average monthly reach is about 10.6 million. It's huge. We've got billions of views online. The big kind of game changer for me, sort of 2 years back now, but even still now, is still TikTok. It's still a platform that people associate with kind of young girls dancing around, messing around. The TikTok platform is phenomenal because it's still all based on reach. You can put content on there. We put content on there daily, and every piece of content is based on its own merit. So if it's good content, millions of people see it. If it's bad content, nobody sees it. So the way when I talk about TikTok, you can't do any wrong on there. Even if you're absolute amateur, never done anything, and you put something on and you're worried about whether it's okay or whether it's right or whatever, if it's bad, nobody sees it. Where with our Facebook and Instagram platforms, we've got 400,000 followers on each platform. If we put something onto Facebook or Instagram, a lot of people are going to see it really quickly because it is how it is. Where TikTok, we can do something and we can use that as a testing platform. So that's what we do. All of our content goes onto TikTok first. We let TikTok work out what's our good content for free. There's no cost involved in it. We'll put 10 videos on in the space of a week. Out of those 10 videos, there will be one that absolutely stands out from all of the others. And that can, I mean, when we're talking about it, we're talking about a video that does 1 million or 2 million compared to a video that does 20 or 30,000. Now, it works the same on a smaller scale. That's because of our audience. Now, on a smaller scale, when you start, if you've got 10 videos, each one of them gets 10 views, but one gets 100, and I guarantee one of them will, that one video is 10x any of the other stuff you've done. So then that video is resonating with your audience. So you want to do more content around that. So it's a brilliant way to test things, which you can't do, well, unless you pay for it, on Facebook and Instagram anymore. So TikTok is a free tool to test what you want to try out and see if it works before you actually do it. Then that's the best way to do stuff at the moment.
Yeah, and TikTok, as you say, just has such a huge reach. It can be really amazing. As you say, stuff just
Yeah.
takes off, and sometimes you never quite know what's going to work, and sometimes it's the stuff that's really you haven't put much effort into, and it's always those ones, isn't it, when you haven't put much effort
I was,
into
I
it.
was going to say, the first big video we had on TikTok was a stupid one of me loading firelighters into the back of the car to take to the glamping site. It was a stupid thing, but it went really well. And there was another one that at Christmas, or near Christmas time, me and my son and my daughter at the Trafford Centre, and there was a guy. I swear to God, he was Santa. He looked like Santa, big white beard, dressed in red, sat having a KFC. And my son was young at the time, and he said, "Is that Santa?" I was like, "Yeah, go ask him." And fair play to this guy, he was awesome. My son went over, tapped him on his shoulder. He went, "You Santa?" He looked around and went, "Yeah." And I was like, "This is." My son was like, "This is amazing." So I took a photo of him and my son, and I just put it on our social media, nothing to do with glamping, and just said, it was AC and this, guy. Jesus, that went massive. It was unbelievable. It was supposed to be just a nice post of my son, no intention of it. And this is the thing: you can always try to, we structure our content in a way to try and make stuff go, to the millions, but it doesn't always work. Because the algorithms are constantly changing, and this is why, again, what was working, say, even a month or 2 months ago, isn't going to constantly work. So what people were doing 2 or 3 years ago certainly isn't working now. We've changed what we do. When I used to, before TikTok, all the content I would create was ultra defined. It was, edited. It was the perfect lighting. It was, lovely shots coming through the woodland, really long format stuff with music over and stuff. And people love that on Facebook and Instagram. And as soon as I put that on TikTok, it bombed, because that's not what people are looking for anymore. People don't want to be sold to through social media. They can smell advertising a mile off and they'll flick away from it. What they're on, social media now is kind of relaxation for a lot of people. They want to just chill out after work, flick through stuff. So if you're trying to put it in your face, discounts, offers, stuff like that, then they're going to ignore it. What you want them to see is just, if they're sat at home after a long day at work and they're flicking and they see a lovely video of people playing around in a glamping site or in a hot tub, and they think, "Oh, do you know what? I really fancy doing that," and they'll click on it naturally to have a look. So don't try and sell to them through social media, because they will go away.
Yeah, and it's all about just having fun and taking action with that social media as well, isn't it? And just, yeah, testing it out and seeing what works, as you said. So you
Yeah, so we do.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say we do a lot of aspirational content. So it's more about people picturing themselves doing the things that we're kind of saying. So it might be a group of women in a hot tub, it might be a family playing on the swings. But then, educational content is doing really well. So talks about what you're doing at your site, how your site runs, how you've done things, those sorts of things. All this stuff is interesting to people. The kind of background stuff is really interesting as well. So there's lots of different ways you can go with social media. It doesn't have to just be, you know, videos like we do of the, of different facilities at the site. It can be lots of different things, because again, it plays to a different audience.
Yeah, and again, with your social media, just like your glamping site, you can have fun with it and experiment and be creative. It doesn't have to be, this is your holiday let, this is your glamping site. You don't have to be contained. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've mentioned that you've been, booked up for 2 years in advance. How do you manage and sort of attract guests during the off season? Because that's, yeah, a real problem in this industry.
Yeah, so again, when I came to this, I've always said that I kind of had open eyes to everything. So rather than just doing what has always been done, I kind of looked at it from a different point of view. So it is, filling up weekends and school holidays is easy. Now, there's no point in trying to work out how to do that. That will just happen. It is what it is. I always thought, right, who is coming on the 4th of December on a Wednesday in the rain? Who is that customer that can come on that date? And traditionally, everybody's targeted couples. So thinking, oh, well, couples can come away, they haven't got kids, they could, probably get away. But what, again, the demographics changed a little bit. Most couples now both are working. Most couples now are having children younger as well. So I looked at it from my situation. So there's me and my partner Chelsea. We've got 3 kids now. We've just had a new baby. Um, if me and Chelsea wanted to go away on the 4th of December on a Wednesday, it would be very, very difficult, because it's not just about us going away and getting somebody to babysit the kids for the night if we wanted to go to the cinema or something. We'd have to get somebody to come in, get them up for school, make them breakfast, take them to school, pick them up from school, make them dinner. All these sorts of, it's a big process, so it's very, very hard to do. But if Chelsea wants to go away on Wednesday, the 4th of December, in the rain with 3 of her friends, that's absolutely fine, because I can stay at home and I can take the kids to school and I can do that. So what I worked out is you need to target one of a couple, not them both. Because if you try and target them both, they can't come. That's ultimately what happens. There is the rare occasions, but I know a lot of the focus has been around that. So in our instance, we target the women out of the relationship. So, like I said at the start, it's the mums. The traditional one is the mums from school whose husbands go out on a Saturday to watch the football or a Sunday to play golf, and mum stays at home to look after the kids. Well, then on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, dad can stay home and look after the kids, and mum can go with 3 or 4 of the other mums. Because this is the other thing as well, what I worked out. Chelsea, my partner, she never goes away with just one friend. It's never 2 girls going away. It's always 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it might be. For some reason, women in general tend to not go away in twos. So our average occupancy midweek is 3. So if we designed units to only sleep 2 people, so targeting couples, you can't have that midweek audience. So every unit we do now has to sleep at least 4 people. Because then, yes, you can have a couple, but our average occupancy shows across the midweek for the full year is 3 as an average. So that's can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4. So we've found that higher occupancy levels have meant that keeps us at the 100% occupancy all year round.
Ah, that's really interesting. You're so right, though, that us ladies, we sort of travel in packs everywhere, don't we?
Yeah, it is. Whenever Chelsea goes and does something, they'll because it's I don't know why. I suppose it does happen with men as well. We go away in groups and stuff like that as well. But it works really well that way because everything we're kind of me and Chelsea very typical, I guess. So with the kids and the family and what we do and holidays and that sort of stuff. So I try and base stuff on what we'd have to do and how hard would it be for me to do something or for Chelsea to do something, or how easy would it be? How can I make it easy for Chelsea to come on the 4th of December to fill up that midweek date? And that's it. And then again, it comes down to pricing as well. There's a whole thing around that which was shown on Dragon's Den, which is I have a flat rate policy all year round. So I charge the same whether you come in on the 1st of August or the 1st of December. It makes no odds to me. Because what we tend to find as well, if we don't overcharge, if we don't have these peaks and troughs, which everybody kind of focuses on now, and I get it, because if your occupancy levels are 0 in winter, you need to make your money in summer. I kind of get it. But as a model, when I charge the same all year round, even though my rates in summer will be cheaper, my rates in winter, in theory, will be higher than anybody else's. So as a full year, the average nightly rate is way higher, keeping the price lower in summer. And what happens is mum and dad and kids will come on the 1st of August for a 2 or 3 or 4 day summer holiday. And then mum will come back in December because she saved a bit of money on this booking and gone, do you know what? It was really good. I loved it. I'm going to bring Stacey and Debbie and Vera, and we're all going to come in December as well. So instead of getting one booking from it, I'm getting the one booking in summer. I'm also getting the one booking in winter when the mums can come and the dads can't.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a really interesting way of doing it as well, that flat nightly rate.
Mm.
Speaking about Dragon's Den, I'm really interested. Obviously, you've talked about the impact of TikTok and social
Yeah.
media. How did the TV exposure from Dragon's Den affect your business?
That was phenomenal. I mean, it was off the charts of anything we've done before. I mean, we've done a lot of different TV programs now. Over the past few years, we've got a few more coming out as well. But Dragon's Den was huge. From that, I expected it to be big, but it's a funny one with Dragon's Den because I knew it's like I knew the ending to the film, but I didn't know how I got there because obviously I was there on the filming, but when you're doing the filming, it's like 2 or 3 hours, even though it's only shown for 5 or 10 minutes on TV. So there's lots and lots you talk about that never gets to air, and you have no idea what they're going to show. So I ultimately knew the ending to the story, which was great, but until that was aired, I didn't know how they were going to edit it. So I knew it was going to be a good kind of impact, but I didn't realize the reach we'd get with customers from the whole little section where I only I charge the same rate all year round because I don't want to rip people off. It's again back to myself and Chelsea's situation. We've just been on holiday with the kids. Nothing special, costing thousands and thousands of pounds because it's the summer holidays. Where if I go in 2 or 3 weeks' time, it costs me like 500 quid, and it grates on me. So as a business, I can choose not to do it. And like I say, there's lots of reasons for it. Ultimately, it makes the business way better. So that little bit, which it wasn't part of my pitch, it was just a throwaway comment that they asked me about, was kind of the main story within it. So the response from the general public has been phenomenal. Because of that, because of my stance on what we charge. So I thought it was going to be busy for maybe a week or so until the next episode comes on. But it was like 10, 12, 13 weeks later, it was still getting busier and busier, and it's just been phenomenal since then. It's been absolutely amazing.
Wow, yeah, that's interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, and going back off some from sort of marketing your glamping site, I'm interested to know about more the sort of day-to-day, um, what you foresee maybe future trends to be in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think again, as I kind of said just before, the average occupancy levels we see are going up. So those, whether that's as we, cost of living gets higher, prices get tighter, people are realizing you can actually go on a really, really nice holiday. That can be a house, a villa, a glamping pod, whatever else, by doing it as a group of people. Because if there's two of you going and it's £200, it's £100 each. If there's 10 of you going and it's £200, it's £20 each. So holidays become really affordable when you have multiple people going onto a booking. So even here, so what I try and do is keep an average price of £50 per person. That's what it works out as. So then for 50 quid, can't get a travel lodge these days for 50 quid. So it becomes really affordable then. So I'm seeing a big shift in groups of people. So that's, again, I have in our kind of group of friends, we've got sort of 5 or 6 couples. So we're finding that a lot where they'll 5 or 6 couples will book a pod each. All the kids will go play, all the mums and dads, like what camping was. That's exactly what we did, didn't we? We kind of, it gets lost a little bit in translation. Um, when you used to go camping, yes, you'd have the couple who go in a little small tent on their own, and then you'd have the 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 families that would all take a little section and have a barbecue, and all the kids would be off, and it was a great holiday. So we're finding that trend now coming into glamping. So people are booking multiple units. So not only are we trying to increase the occupancy levels on each unit, so a minimum of 4, some of them are 6, but then also giving them options like the Wilderness Spa and the Lookout, 2 of the units that we did. Both of those are separate units. They sleep 4 in each one, so 8 in total between the two. But the fence between the two of them, if you book the two together, we can slide it away and it opens up into one huge unit that can accommodate 8 people. Now, that's great if there's a booking for 2 families or a group of friends or whatever. But again, we worked out, is there enough market for 8 people booking that unit? Because in theory, as one unit, it's very expensive. It's £560 a night if you was just a couple coming. So you're turning away a lot of your audience. But on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we can shut that off and it becomes 2 units, and then it's fine for a group of friends again. So having these different options to be able to accommodate different types of guests and different groups of guests, whether that be a group, a family, retired couples, having these different options is really important as you go forward. And again, there is the whole Instagrammable kind of side of things. People want stuff to look good, but actually that's kind of moved now. And what they want is excitement. They want experiences. They want things to do. Again, going back to camping, I always distinctly remember we used to go camping with my mum and dad, and we'd go and set up the tent, pitch it up, and we'd walk away, and we'd go and climb a tree or swim in a river or do whatever we did. What we didn't do is sit in that tent for 2 days. So when it comes to glamping, it's ridiculous that you build this, whatever it is, really nice pod, treehouse, lodge, whatever, it doesn't really matter. That in theory is the tent. I mean, you never expected people to sit in the tent, so why would you expect them to sit in a pod or a treehouse, regardless how nice it is? It's all about the outdoor area. So it's all about spending time outdoors, having fun, doing things. So the units are getting less and less important, and the experience is getting more and more important.
Yeah, yeah, that's so funny because I've done quite a few podcast recordings now, and every single recording, everyone's mentioned how important experience is. Every single recording, so it's
It
really
is.
important.
Yeah, and that can be lots of different things. It can be stupid things, because people think that you need to spend a lot of money, on saunas or hot tubs or things like that. Yes, you can do it that way. There's not a problem. It can also be a game of Monopoly with half the pieces missing. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be just something. The best memories that I have with the kids is always something stupid. It's never something expensive. It's not I don't know, go karting or paragliding or something like that. It's always the messing around on a pool table when somebody's finished a game and there's 4 balls left on the table and your son wants to have a little knock around, and it's dead fun. It doesn't have to be expensive and over the top. It just has to be something that they're going to remember.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. My mum was actually got an Airbnb, and she does a little hide and seek with some stones she's got off the beach. She's painted 10 um, ladybirds and bees and hidden them everywhere. So it's, yeah, a luxury couples sort of retreat, and they have to go and find, and if they find them all and fill out the form, then they get entered into a competition to win a stay at the end of the year. But they absolutely love it. They go wild for this hide and seek, for finding these little.
That's
It's
it.
just having some fun, and again being creative, and yeah,
Yeah,
having some fun
absolutely.
with stuff. So, what advice would you give to someone looking to start their own holiday let or glamping site? What advice would you have for them?
Ooh, so I mean, obviously, at first, the problem within glamping at the minute seems to be finding land and planning permission. If you're looking at more holiday lets and that sort of thing, and everybody's always worried about location. You know, that's location, 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 the name of it. But the places like Lake District, Cornwall, Kent, places like this, they've always had tourism. That's great. Non-traditional tourist destinations are becoming really popular. You know, where we are in Skelmersdale, there's no tourism. There has never been any tourism. We're near a motorway by an industrial estate. Nobody comes to visit here for a holiday, and everybody thought I was insane when I did it. So it's not, the location isn't what's important. People just want that like we've said before, experience, but that escapism, so they can be anywhere and nowhere at the same time. So don't worry about, is it near the local shops? Is it near a water park? Is it near a lake? You know, what we tend to find is people are booking somewhere to stay there. So our guests very rarely leave. 92% of them from when they arrive don't actually leave the site. They're coming here to stay here. And that's happening a lot, especially with larger lets. Unless you are acting again as accommodation, if you're acting as a destination, you want to just give them everything they need at that location to not have to leave. And they'll come back over and over again because they know they can rock up with their suitcases, chill out for a day, 2 days, a week, whatever it might be, and that's it. So I'd definitely put less emphasis on location and more emphasis on the product you're providing to your guests.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. And Derry, I've got a question for you. This I've been asking on my podcast guests this, because sometimes being an owner, a holiday let owner, or managing multiple properties, things aren't always rosy. So, what's been your worst guest experience?
Oh, damn. There's a few. I mean, in general, most guests are great. In all fairness, but I think this year seems to be a funny one. I've seen a lot of people talking about it as well. Guests are getting very demanding. People are expecting more and more all the time, even down to daft things. We're based in a 4-acre woodland. We've had people complain about spiders in a woodland. I'm like, you're in. We can't control nature. Do you know what I mean? We're not a 5-star hotel in the centre of Manchester, which I absolutely agree on. Somebody was complaining about a spider's web on a tree outside. I'm like, we can't really do anything about that. So they are getting more and more demanding. But again, what we find is it's usually the lower occupancy. So when it's 2 or 3 people, so if it's a couple, they tend to be more reliant on you these days. So they want help with more things. When you get into the threes, fours, fives, sixes, again, what we tend to find is when you get larger groups, there's usually one person within that group who can resolve any situation. So one person might be a great cook, one person might be great with Amazon Prime, one person might be great with the internet. So you get far less inquiries or far less questions the larger the group gets because they kind of get self-sufficient. But yeah, it is. The demand on what people are looking for now is getting higher. So keeping up with their expectations is a massive challenge all the time, and double and triple checking stuff. So that's probably the biggest thing at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. And what's your favorite part of running a glamping site?
My favorite part is, to be fair, it's guests. Although you can't, it's love and hate. The guests really do make it for me. It's I love being out in the woodland. I love building the units. I love spending time down there. But if nobody used it, it would be the saddest thing ever. And even though you might have one or two bad guests, the really really good ones absolutely make up for it. And seeing kids saying it's better than Disneyland. It was the most amazing experiences they've had. It's phenomenal to have those families because I look at it like I did when I used to go on holiday with my mum and dad, and I remember certain things even from being little, and it's because of stuff that was done by the site or by the hotel or whatever else it might be. So those things I know will stick with people, and you can't, it's kind of money can't buy those memories sort of thing. You have to go and do them. You have to do these things. So the guests, although they can be the worst, are certainly the best part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's a love-hate relationship sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, finally, what's one top tip you'd like to give other owners or people getting started? This can be anything, doesn't have to be marketing related. What's one top tip you'd give someone?
Ooh, connect with more people. So this is one industry that compared to other industries I've worked in, most industries are very closed. Nobody wants to talk about how they market their business, what towels they use, those sorts of things. But especially if you're new coming to the business, what you'll find is if you reach out to other site owners, people will help. People are happy to talk about it because in this industry, most people are individual owner operators. There's very very few that are mega, big large site owners. It's not how it works. So we all feel a bit lonely at times. We all feel like everything's just us and nothing else. So we all like reaching out to each other. So certainly connect with other site owners. If you've got an issue, me and Kate run the Glamping Site Owners Group, and there's a little over 8,000 members now, and people are asking questions on there all the time, and people will put answers in, and it's simple as that. It might be something that's been playing on your mind. How the hell do I sort this out? And somebody else has already done it before, and they go, "Oh yeah, just do this." And it's a big weight, but you think it's on you. So if you're ever starting out, or even if you started out and still think you're tearing your hair out about something, ask for help of somebody. You'll tend to find that most people in the industry are helpful. Not all, but most are.
Yeah, yeah, I've definitely found that everyone's very happy to chat and share experiences and give
Yeah,
recommendations.
absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Derry, for coming on to the show today. Where can people find you?
So all of our socials are the same. So it's at the Secret Garden Glamping. So that's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And then our website is www.thesecretgardenglamping.uk. So yeah, any information, just go over there and you can find us.
Amazing. Really enjoyed chatting with you today, Derry. It's been, yeah, really, really interesting to hear all about your marketing
No problem.
and how you've got started. So, yeah,